So, today's class is implants and boosters. First, we must ask exactly what they do, why they're important, and why you should have them. Alright, starting off, in Eve, your ship is only half of the equation. You can have a maxed out ship with faction mods that cost 3 billion and still not get the most amount of damage, most amount of rep, most amount of points that you can out of that ship because you do not have implants or boosters running on it. What do they affect? Well, they affect just about everything that comes with the ship. They affect their performance, income efficiency as far as killing rats, as far as mining, as far as gas huffing, as far as just about anything you can do in game. There more than likely is an implant for it. They also increase survivability. There are shield implants, armor implants, structure implants, there's weapon implants. They help out a lot. So, think of it basically like a ship's equipment. Now, second part, boosters. What are boosters? What do they do? Are they like implants? How effective are they? Boosters are short term. Most of you receive these boosters from your daily login bonus, and you get them, you throw them to the side, or you might just go ahead and equip them, not really knowing how to effectively use them. Of course, the daily login bonus doesn't really give you a chance to store them, but you can buy them directly off the market as well. So, boosters are temporary, implants are permanent until your pod dies. Now, there's two different types of implants. There's slots 1 through 5, which increase your attributes. And your attributes, if you increase them, they help you learn skills faster. They help you train skills faster, depending on the attributes you decide to increase. If you really want to train some stuff up in science, get some science implants on a clone. If you really want to train some stuff up in like weapons or something like that, there's implants. You just have to look on the market and I'll show you exactly where to look for them here in a minute. Then there's the second half of implants, which is slots 6 through 10. These directly affect your gameplay. They are the ones that affect your ships directly. The way implants are calculated, because if you look on them and you'll see, oh, doc, this implant only gives 1%, this implant only gives 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. What am I going to gain from 5%? Now, what it doesn't tell you is that implant isn't 5% base stats. No, that implant is 5% after it calculates all of your mods, all of your skills, and the ship rolls attributed. Then it is 1 to 5% on top of that. So if you have 100% on ship damage, then that's an extra 10% on top of that. So that's 110 damage if you're running a small ship, but a massive boost if you're able to put out 2,000 damage. That's an extra 200 damage. That's enough to destroy a frigate just in the excess damage that it can offer on a 1% bonus. My math may have been wrong there, but don't do math yet. This is all right. Near my notes. One second. All right. So, like I said, there are different implants for everything. They just don't increase just weapon stats or just shield stats. If you'll take a look at my screen here, if you are viewing my screen, I have two sets of clones right here. One I use for PvE and one I use for mining. The one I use for mining, you'll notice, is considerably more decked out than the one I use for PvE. But as you can see, the one I use for mining, even though it's cheap implants, like you'll see that's 172 mil for a 5% bonus to blueprint manufacturing time and research, 1% drone fighter max velocity because I often use drones in the Orca. And you'll see I have a reprocessing mod for 4% bonus to ore and ice reprocessing yield. This is how you get up past that 80%, by the way. And then I'll also have the mining foreman link, which directly affects every single one of you guys. Now, I don't have any single sort of 1 through 5 boosters on a clone because I like to spend a little bit of money and I have a cerebral accelerator that gives me 12 points across the board. Now, that is a booster that gives me 12 points across the board for 3 whole days. Now, if you look and see that I have my PvE clone over here, I have a CPU management, and then I also have a turret capacitor reduction implant. So I'm able to put high level turrets into a smaller ship because if you notice, if you try to go in there and you're fitting a tier 1 ship, you're limited on what you can do. You can't really put tier 2 turrets or uh, high-end faction turrets into a smaller ship. This helps mitigate some of that right there. That'll help bring it back on the CPU, allow you to run better stuff, and all for the price of 18 mil, you could save yourself a lot of headache and deal a lot more damage. The CPU management mod also comes into play with the second one that I just recently mentioned. It is to help reduce the CPU needed for these turrets. Now, I was running a MAR. A MAR with their energy turrets, they're very heavy on CPU. It may not be the case with some of the Minotaurs because they really like their guns. They have a lot of ship bonuses towards guns. So what you would want to do is then fit your implants to your tanks rather than your weapons because that's where most of your CPU is going, is towards the tank and the prop and every other bit of blingy mod you want to put on there. Any questions so far? Anything I missed? Anybody have any sort of miscommunication, or is everybody here good to move on to the second half of class?
That's good. No, I didn't know that about that. It even did that with the even your DPS mods. It jumped on. It did everything on top of it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, I knew most of that. I just didn't know myself. I didn't know that it was all on top of all the other stuff. I thought it was just 5% of what your skills give. So that makes it even better than I already thought it was. I thought it was 5%, actually 5% on the ship rather. So
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, moving forward. Talked about remaining implants, talked about all different types of implants, right? Now, here comes the nerf. Every good thing in this game has a massive nerf. There's nothing in this game that doesn't come with a cost, and that is apparent with implants. Low grade implants, right, are usually cheaper, but they're weaker. The high grade implants can get very, 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 very expensive to the point where they supersede the cost of your ship. Mid grade, that's usually where you want to find a common ground if you can afford it. Now, second half is implant sets. Implant sets come with additional attribute bonuses if you have the entire set equipped, but you are going down a set path with them. You don't have to equip all of the set, but it is beneficial that you do. That is why I brought up the market here. So, as you can see, this is where you would find all of your implants, boosters, cerebral accelerators, everything that we're currently talking about right now. So, if we go to implants, we go to attribute enhancer, no, skill hardwiring. Now let's just go ahead and see if we can try to find ourselves a set that is for sale on the market currently. The market changes every now and then. There's no real good way to figure out what sets are available unless you already know the names. I'm going down here. There was a set that I was going to look up specifically. Something crystal.
Oh, the crystal set?
Yes.
Yeah. Or the Garista set. That's a good one too.
Because I was going to use it as a. Can't seem to find it. There are different types of sets. 1 minute, 5 minutes. No. Let's look at that. All right. Nope. All right. Next up is implants that have a secondary effect. This secondary effect only applies if you have the full implant, right? The full set of implants. So as you see, if we look at the snake high grade beta, it's a memory augmentation, so obviously it's not a chip augmentation, but it still serves to be an example for something to look out for whenever trying to build a good set of implants. Once you have these implants packed out, I'd highly suggest you write them down and save them somewhere because these names can get confusing at times. How lucky.
Hey, Doc, do you mind if I interrupt with a question real quick?
What's that?
You mind if I interrupt with a question real quick while you're filling that up?
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can ask a question. Yeah, that's what this class is for.
So
Good class.
well, we're talking about the different grades, like 1, 3, and 5% for hard wirings.
Hmm.
So I've got an RNI for level fours. Would even just putting the 1% like cruise missile and like I don't know, maybe the application ones, rate of fire, all of those hard wirings, but even just the 1%, even at its low, like, you know, cost or whatever, would it still be a massive upgrade versus not having the hard wiring at all?
So if you do have the skills upgraded for missiles, right, and you do main missiles, And then on top of that, you have the ballistic control system, I believe, on your ship, which increases fire rate and missile accuracy. Then yes, that is 1% on top of all of that that is attributed. So let's say you have 20, no, we'll go with 10. Let's say you have 10% missile fire rate accuracy across the board. That brings you up to 11% because that is on top of everything else, right? It's a percentage on top of the total sum. It will not be added until everything else is added. It's a last factor that it is added on top of. So if you have 100% missile accuracy rate or missile fire rate, as you said, then 1% of that, which I believe is 10, no, it's 10%. No, I can't do math right now. No, so focus on other things. But let's just say it's 10. That's an extra 10 on top of your 100. Just for example purposes. Do not quote me on that. Make sure you do your math by yourself so you can figure out, hey, yeah, it's it's still something, right? Something is better than nothing. And that something will help you get the better parts of implants. That's the whole game right now is essentially a big money generating system. Your whole job in there is to figure out what you'd like to do to generate ISK, to figure out, hey, I really like to do this. I'm going to make more ISK by doing this. I'm going to make the most ISK by doing this because this is what I do. This is why I have these classes. So you guys can understand, okay, this is the best way to do this activity. This is some good knowledge to have so I can do this activity. So yes, having that 1% on top of everything else is a bonus. It still helps. And if you are in a firing rate with another player, it will put you on top.
Fair enough. And that's also, I guess that leads into my next question of like, would you suggest something like having, because I'm looking at setting up a implant head just for the golem and then an implant head just for like Lokis and cruisers and stuff like that for doing support in the wormhole. So I
Mhm.
guess my question was, is it like, even if it's just the 1%, is that still worth it? You know, is it even worth fooling with, or should I just wait for the threes? I guess is my real quiz. What I was trying to get at.
It'll put you ahead of the person if they don't have any implants whatsoever.
Fair enough.
Which brings me down. No, so I was talking about the grade 2 implants. Did I cover everything on the grade 2 implants? The secondary effects and the set effects.
You were looking at bringing I think the crystal adjacent or the crystal set up in order to talk about those. I don't think you actually got it. You were pulling them up when I asked my questions.
All right. So couldn't quite find the crystals, so I used the skill implant, the high grade snake beta implants, to bring up this point. So you have your basic implants which provide a flat bonus across the board, and then you have your set implants. Set implants usually sell for a lot. Even this snake high grade beta is selling for about 150 mil. But what it does is it gives a 4% bonus to memory. Secondary effect is a 0.625% bonus to maximum velocity. That affects your ship, but that's also a secondary effect on a skill boosting effect. The set effect, if you have more than one, the set effect then comes into effect, which gives a 15% bonus strength to all Snake's secondary effects, which means this is multiplied by 15%. And every single high grade snake effect after that, so it seems like every single one of them has that 15% bonus to all snake implant. secondary effects. So the more that you have, if you run the high grade snakes for your skills, you'll get a maximum boost to velocity. And if you want to be a tackle, or if you just want to be a fast tank or shield, not a shield tank, a speed tank, which is viable strategy by the way, the high grade snake epsilon set would be for you. And then you could save, then you have all of your ship slots for your ship boosting, specifically for like your weapons, your capacitor management, all of that while boosting your maximum velocity on a singular ship. Now, something I did not cover yet. Implants are not permanent. If you die in a pod with all of your implants, they will be lost unless you personally go over there and pick them back up. But there's a good chance if a PvPer sees, oh, there's a 603 million ISK, or yeah, 603 million ISK implant here. That's good lived. Chances are you're not going to get that back. So it is imperative you keep in mind your wallet whenever doing things. If you're very comfortable, you have a strategy, you know what you're doing in PvE, great, cool. Get the max implants. They will help you far better along the road than a basic implant. But if you're doing PvP, then that is where you want to make a financial decision. Currently, none of our doctrines require an implant. I try to make it that way so that way nobody has to spend more than they need to. But if you wish to have implants to be a step above, then it is imperative you keep in mind the price of those implants, because if you die, there's a high chance you will lose those, because it has a decent chance to be destroyed or a decent chance to be dropped. And if it is dropped by your enemy and they pick it up, then it is gone. Any questions?
I did not know that you could pick up the implants off the. Did you get it off the corpse, or is it just when off the ship whenever the ship blows up, or when the pod blows up?
Whenever the pod blows up, that's whenever your implants are gone. So you have a chance to save your implants after your ship blows up. What I did to save my expensive implants is I would eject myself from the ship and warp out if I could warp out. But if they have you in an interdiction bubble, there is no chance of you getting out unless you're already near the edge. So you have to make a decision: keep my implants and lose my ship, or just lose my ship. Or no, lose my implants and lose my ship, or just lose my ship and keep my implants.
Sometimes the implants are more expensive than the ship.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Like for my implants, for my characters, 500 million. So if I lose my solos, that's where it's around 230 million, and I get potted, I'm out fucking 750 million.
Next up,
The
next up.
crystal said that I'm wanting to like a billion, so for my
Yeah.
goal. So yeah,
Yep. And next up. So your implants are attached to your clones. To train up clones, you will need a specific set of skills. I forgot to write those down. I'll include them in the description of the video.
it's infomorph psychology, advanced infomorph psychology, infomorph synchronization, and advanced infomorph synchronization, I believe.
Yep, you can have, I believe, what is it, up to 9 clones?
I believe it's infomorph psychology gives you five, and then advanced infomorph psychology gives you another five.
Okay, so 10 clones.
And information infomorph synchronization takes an hour off of your ability to jump into another clone. But do remember that you can always move into the clone if it's in the station you're in, without a timer.
Good information. So, that being said, your implants are attached to those specific clones. You don't always have to carry around the implants that you put on a clone. If you don't feel like, oh, I don't want to lose these implants, I spent a lot on them, but I really want to go do this other thing, jump into a new clone. If you want to know how to do that, for those that are absolutely brand new, just starting off, don't know anything about clones, what you can do. Now, I'm blocked off because I've already had the maximum of clones because they didn't train it up. Most of my skills are in other things. You can go to your character sheet, which is located at the face of your character, go over to your jump clones, and install a clone at wherever you want to install a clone at. Now, after you do that, you'll go down and you'll jump to your brand new clone that has just been provided. You will not be able to jump for another 24 hours if you don't have the skills built up for it. And it will cost you about 900,000 ish. So, that is how you get out of the clone with all of your implants and be able to just save that aspect for a later date. Because as you see, I have these two set away, they're saved. I'm not using them, and I'll only use this one on Monday morning coffee for everybody else. Um, any questions? Anything?
I just want to point out one very valid technique is if you know that you're like a PvPer and you know that you're going to lose clones often, you can have a set of plus fives. And then when you go to log out at night, just duck up at your station, swap into your training clone and log out. And then when you log in, just swap to your fresh clone, and then you can go PvP all you want and not have to worry about your training clone dying or having any sort of possibility of losing that half billion is worth of plus fives.
Yep. I was going to show you guys the clone setup with my PvE ship that brings my DPS from about 2,700 up to about 3,000, but I don't have that currently fitted, and it would have cost me another, I think it was 1.2 bill last time. And I made the mistake of using it to transport a ship through HiSec, and I got fucking pirate ganked. So, alright, moving forward. Last part of the class. Implants. Long term, high risk. They give you long term power, long term boosts, as long as you have that clone active. Next up is boosters. Boosters are short term advantage. I didn't really go over boosters, did I? No, I didn't. Alright, so let's go back. Because boosters are important as well. You need to know when to use them because they are timed, right? So if you're going out for an event, or if you want to really grind out some stuff, boosters, and you have, I think, up to 20 slots. But no, one booster is that I like to use is blue pill, right? So let's take a look at the blue pill booster. This booster relaxes the pilot's ability to control certain shield functions, among other things. It creates a temporary feeling of euphoria that's information about the game, like lore, stuff like that. So what it's saying is that this booster right here provides a bonus to shields. Let's take a look at the attributes to see how much of a shield boost it provides, and that is a 25% shield boost bonus. 25% for a duration of 30 minutes. So if you want to try to punch above your weight limit on a mission, or if you want to try to just go out there and see if you really want to do some PvP, and you're running a ship build that mainly focuses on shields, grab a couple of these, throw them into your cargo bay, and then run them only before you're about to engage. Whenever you're warping over to a situation, activate it. Once it is activated, that's whenever the timer starts. You can keep these in your cargo bay, you can keep these in your hangar bay. They won't expire until you activate them. Now, and then you can take a look at all the other different benefits that it provides. Now, this only applies to slot 1. You can also make them as well if you're interested in industry. That's a PI product, by the way. Um, Exile. Yeah, Exile's the same thing, but for armor, if you like armor ships. Like, usually you have your basic, standard, improved, sent, different tiers of it, right? And so it tells you right here what tier it is. And you can just go through, go ahead and take a look at everything and then build your football fleet, whatever you like to do. Let's see. Any questions about boosters? Anything that you're confused about? I know I
Do they
wasn't
stack on
super.
top just like implants do?
Yes, they stack on top, but they are limited to their slots. Knowing when to use them, how to use them, and where to use them are important.
I've used one. The only ones I've ever used are the ones that for the mining boost or for the mining implant one or the whatever it is. Yeah, the mining booster. I've got a couple of them.
Yep. So shield booster. I wrote it down here. Can't believe I couldn't find it. So I wrote it down here. Shield booster plus crystal set plus blue pill equals an insane tank, and that is probably what you want to run on something like a Tengu, right? Because Tengus are notorious shield tanks. So if you have a crystal set, and then you have your implants set up to shield boost that ship, and then you have a blue pill on top of that, what I just showed you, then your shields are going to be almost untouchable if you go out and decide to PvP. All right. If there are no further questions, if anybody's clear about everything, if everybody's feel comfortable about things, I'm opening up the floor to questions. Is there anything else?
It's what about the slot numbers?
So, booster slots also work a lot like implants. See here, it goes up to 17. I think it went up to 20, but there's only up to 17 for sale right here. As you can see, it's already missing quite a few numbers. And it really depends on where you're at, but you can stack booster slots depending on their slot numbers. Like, let's say, oh, I really want to try to stack a bunch of blue pills. I can't because that only takes up booster slot 1. No matter how much I want to stack on top of these blue pills, it won't let me because that takes up that specific slot. That's for that specific slot. Just like if we were to go over to implants, let's say I really want a bunch of implants. Well, the inherent implants aren't, I guess so. You can stack different types of inherent implants, but the RS601s aren't going to go into the same slots as the RA701s. They have their specific designated slots, and they can't be interchangeable. They are set in stone. Does that
Is it
answer your
just
question?
like even like with your implants? Is just like slot 1 through 10, or is there more
Yep.
than 10 slots for the implants?
Nope, there's only 10 slots for the implants. Slots 1 through 5 are for skill based implants, and slots 6 through 10 are for your ship based implants.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? All right, that concludes this specific class. I'll be taking a 5-minute break to get the materials ready for the secondary class. If someone wants to try to get a hold of Azazel, since he decided to vote on this one as well, he was interested in it.